What is going on, Bucs fans, NCFP fans? Evan Wanish here, co-host of the Can of Fire podcast, and with me today is the other co-host of the Can of Fire podcast, Rhett Matthew, and we're here to talk about Devin White. Now, Devin White has been a hot topic, I would say, the past week or so, especially, you thought he was going to be able to play against Green Bay. Came out Sunday morning that he was going to be inactive. Okay, his injury maybe not healed. The interesting part was it said that it was not injury related, and it was in fact a coach's decision. Now, Todd Bowles after the game, it said that Devin White said he couldn't go. Rick Stroud came out with a story and said that Devin White was going to be benched in favor of KJ Britt. When Devin White heard this, Devin White basically told the Bucs that he wouldn't be able to go, essentially almost taking his ball and going home in a way. Now, what does this mean for the future of Devin White in Tampa Bay? What does this mean for the present right now for the Buccaneers? Well, it means, I think, a few things. One, it does mean that I think that relationship between the team and Devin White has been pretty soured. And I think it started way back in the offseason, early in the offseason, when Devin White requested a trade after not getting the contract that he wanted. Now, remember, this guy is about to be a free agent in just a few weeks at this point, because the season does not have much time left. So Devin White, scheduled to become a free agent, isn't likely to be back at this point. How do you read this whole situation, Rhett, and what do you think's going on here?
Yeah, it's incredibly disappointing to see it play out like this, because it seems like a lot of what we're trying to gather of what really happened, it's a lot of assuming. But the writing is on the wall, right? In more ways than one, we can basically identify that Devin White took his ball and went home, which again is incredibly disappointing, because this isn't just a first-round bust. This isn't, a third, fourth-round prospect that flamed out we're talking about. This guy has played 73 games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He has won a Super Bowl championship. And in those 73 games, he has recorded 511 total tackles, 22 and a half sacks. And after those first two seasons, after that 2020 playoff run in particular, Devin White is touted by the national media as one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
At this point, I think that, you can see the writing on the wall for Devin White and the Buccaneers. I don't think it takes a mad scientist to figure out that Devin White probably won't be back in 2024 for Tampa Bay, which, if you listen to the Campfire podcast for a few weeks now, we're not the only ones who are saying it, but probably didn't think Devin White was going to be back anyway. However, we also didn't really expect him to be almost shut down for the season. We didn't really expect things to be that bad. So Devin White, who, like you said, was a huge part of that 2020 playoff run, they might not win a Super Bowl without him. I mean, that 4-game stretch that he had was really remarkable, especially that game against New Orleans. He was just fantastic. Not sure they beat New Orleans without Devin White, but ever since then, his play has decreased. It's gone up. His inconsistencies have been a huge part and a huge storyline in his career. Mix that with his attitude, and I'm sure the trade request in the offseason did not help. And now, all of a sudden, things are looking to be a sour end for Devin White, who was the former 5th overall pick by the Buccaneers. So they have a lot invested into him. They wanted him to play on his 5th-year option. He did that, but then, this sort of all came crumbling down. So when you're looking at the future of Devin White and the Buccaneers, or look at that future, but also look at the Buccaneers' future without Devin White. One, do you think Devin White comes back? I'm sure you're going to say the answer we all expect. And two, how do you think the Buccaneers go about possibly replacing Devin White for not just the rest of this year, but possibly next year as well?
I don't think Devin White is back. I do think he's one of those players that we have seen a lot in the history of the Buccaneers franchise, where at the end of the day, a change of scenery is what's going to do him best at this point in his career. I do think he has a ceiling. I do think we have seen the best of Devin White, and I think another team, whoever he ends up signing with, is probably going to get a pretty good player for another 10, 12, 13 years, however long he decides to keep playing in the NFL. But whatever the case, if he has a career resurgence, it is not going to happen in Tampa Bay. That's just my personal thoughts. And then as far as the Bucs addressing the future of that linebacker position, I'd argue they're already a couple of steps ahead with what we've seen with Servassier Dennis and KJ Britt. I'd argue Britt's a little more proven just because he seems to be getting more valuable playing time. Servassier Dennis kind of been back and forth with injury this year, and he's a rookie, so it's hard to pile on that much onto him. But I'm excited to see the development of those guys, and I think the Bucs are too. Now, Lavonte David's status is obviously going to determine how aggressive they get with looking for another potential replacement at linebacker. But if Lavonte David resigns for another year, I would like the Bucs to ultimately just see what they have in KJ Britt and Servassier Dennis, whether it's rotating those guys in, determining who gets the majority share of the snaps is going to go a long way. KJ Britt with the experience factor, but maybe you could argue Servassier Dennis with the upside that is yet to be seen. I do think the Bucs are in a good position that even if Lavonte David moves on and they're forced to either sign a free agent or look at the draft for a linebacker, I still think between KJ Britt and Servassier Dennis, they're set up much better than they would have been this time maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I do think that, and honestly, like KJ Britt's sort of been a late bloomer. I mean, KJ Britt has been on the team for a few years now, and I do think that you could be right when you say like they could just go into 2024 and see what they have in these guys, especially because look, folks, like 2024 probably not going to be in Super Bowl contention either. So like there's not really those type of expectations. I think it's a great time to be able to get a look at some younger players and see who could be fits for a long-term future here. And KJ Britt and Servassier Dennis are just that. So it is unfortunate and honestly surprising that Devin White does not figure into their future plans. I think if you would have told us that even in 2021, even after when his inconsistencies started to show up, I think you still thought that he would probably be a long-term fixture of this team. It does not appear so. Obviously, it's not official, right? But just like we talked about, but in the middle of a playoff push, and a team captain is not going to be on their team like actively playing. So it is interesting. It does appear the writing is on the wall for Devin White, Tampa Bay. But let us know what you guys think about Devin White's future in Tampa Bay. Let us know what you think about Devin White as a player, regardless. Do you agree with Devin White that he should have been given that contract? Do you think that he should be playing right now? Do you think the Buccaneers should try and re-sign him anyway? Or do you think the Bucs should just cut their losses, roll with KJ Britt, Servassier Dennis? What do you guys think about this whole situation? It really is some late season drama, I guess you could say. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please don't forget to check out all of our content on Cannon Fire Podcast on YouTube. That's where you can find these great videos. But also, you can listen to the podcast on YouTube or anywhere you listen to a podcast. So thank you all for the support. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go Bucs.
Outfield, pull-up ball to the 5, touchdown Tampa Bay. Mike Evans does it again. Fire the cannon.